Hi, I'm Bob Jeffrey, Global CEO and Chairman of JWT, and welcome to the latest edition of Worldmakers. We're featuring people who have made things around the world, inspired by the international world that we live in technological innovation. I'm here with Brian Perkins, who actually I've had a great relationship with over a number of years at J&J. Brian, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here, Bob.
You know, it's interesting because of all the different people I've interviewed over the last couple of days, you, out of everybody, I think, has had the most experience with JWT when we talk about Worldmade and about blending technological innovation, international imagination. I'd love, I mean, again, you were, I think, the first client I spoke to about that. So can you give me your perspective on that now that we've worked together for several months on that?
Right. Well, I do have an unusual perspective on it, Bob, because when you first introduced me to the Worldmade concept, my first response was, oh, makes sense. I've heard of a lot of pitches before and rethinks by agencies. But what was unusual is that right after you told me about it, we went right into a global review for our FIFA World Cup sponsorship. So I learned about Worldmade, then I saw it in action during the review, and lo and behold, who won our worldwide sponsorship? The Worldmade folks at JWT. So very interesting process.
So you had, yeah, obviously you had direct experience with it. Now, what I think is interesting about having you on the show is you've dealt, I think, with probably every conceivable agency around the world across every discipline. And as you know, there's seismic shifts going on in the business. What's your perspective in terms of looking into the future? I mean, what do you see as the major things we need to do on the agency side to really stay ahead of what's happening technologically and to really embrace, you know, what's happened internationally in terms of the fast-growing markets and multiculturalism?
Yeah, for global brands, for global marketers, Worldmade is incredibly important. So when you guys came in, as you know, on your pitch, to have your London office, your office from Argentina, your office from Brazil, your office from New York, with input from Asia, right? All there, and from the Middle East, to talk about the greatest global sport there is, football, right? It came alive. I think that's the kind of things that agencies are going to have to do for global marketers. The second thing that comes to mind, Bob, and you know I'm a believer in all things digital, all things social. We don't have it figured out. We need you, our agency, to help us figure it out, and to not just figure it out, to push us. These kind of things don't come easy to us. We're not always great at being the first mover, but you have to push us. You have to push us out of our comfort zone to try this.
Right, and I think what was great about that particular pitch is that one of the things you said to me on the phone is, we have a scale of 1 to 10 that you're very familiar with, and you said, Bob, A, this is a Worldmade pitch, but B, we need a 10. Yeah. And that became a guiding principle because the 10 is obviously not just about doing great TV and great film, which is still important, but it was about coming up with ideas that were really innovative that nobody had done before. Because I think, again, one of the great things about J&J is this is a world-class brand, world-famous brand, and the ability to do something different has obvious equity impact on that brand.
Can I tell you a story about that?
Sure.
You know, why I like going to Cannes, because a lot of times you say, should clients go, should agencies even go to Cannes?
We always have this debate.
Right, we do, and we go every year.
Right.
What I love about Cannes, the very first time I went and the last time I went, when I go into the theaters and watch the work, what I like as much as the work is the reaction from the creatives in the theater. And what I learned is the people in the seats, the people in the audience, the creatives, all they want to do is do great work. They get inspired by doing great work. And that had an impact on me as a client. And I want to unleash the greatness in creatives. And that's not easy for clients because we're uptight, we have to worry about recall scores, we have to worry about payback. But at the end of the day, the most leverage that we as clients have on our entire P&L is a great creative idea. That's why I love the Worldmade, I loved your scale, I want 10s.
And the other thing I just have to say, we were talking a little bit about this before, we were talking about the New York Knicks and Jeremy Lin, because I know that you're a big basketball fan, but also in your own time you were a great basketball player. Any comment on the Knicks?
The Knicks, I have been in a downward spiral in my mind since Charles Smith missed two 2 chippies in 1997 against the Chicago Bills. It's been all downhill. Jerry Millen is the first good thing that's happened in Madison Square Garden since 1997, and I just might go back to the Garden to watch a game.
You know, I mean, everybody's talking about Lynn. I think what's amazing is just how he's taken off in social media.
Yeah.
And also, he's a great example of Worldmade because he's not the obvious choice.
But you know what, Bob? As much as I love basketball, your guys down in South America have turned me on to the game, the real football. And
you're a convert. I'm impressed.
I know when the European Championships start this summer in June, and I know what the Premier League is, and I know what the Bundesliga is, and that is the world sport.
Well, that's great, Brian. And look, thank you because you gave us a huge opportunity to demonstrate that Worldmade works. And thanks for spending the time on Worldmakers.
Bob, you have a great worldwide team, and it has been a pleasure and a privilege to work with you and your people around the world. So a big thank you to everybody at JWT and all the offices. You guys do great work. You should be proud of it. You help people.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I really appreciate that. And thank you for tuning in to Worldmakers.